A huge find near Timmins by an American company triggered what Canadians came to call the Windfall affair.
I think it was '64 when the Texas Gulf Sulphur Company discovered the Kidd Creek, what's today the Kidd Creek mine, in Timmins, and revived Kidd Creek. I guess is probably the richest single known mineral deposit in the world in terms of its metallic content.
The speculation that followed immediately on that was, it's unbelievable. There's never been ever a boom like that in Canadian mining. The claim staking, the wheeling and dealing, the terrific all-time records on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Everybody was excited and making money, and Viola could no more stay out of a situation, a boom like that, than fly to the moon.
She'd had a serious health problem and had sold, when she recovered, she had sold her interests, her production interests, to another mining organization, and did not have any productive mines at the time. Windfall was an attempt to come back and do it again.
Viola's company, Windfall Oils and Mines, snapped up those claims which the Texas Gulf Sulphur Company had missed.
So we started to drill, and before we got any of the results from what we got in the drill hole, everybody started running on our stock.
And of course the rumors were flooding all through Toronto and across Bay Street that, hey, it looks like a jewelry store. Viola has hit something really magic.
Well, they said I had manipulated the stock, and I didn't manipulate the stock. And I couldn't put gold in the core. I couldn't do that. I didn't even try to do that. But before we learned out whether we had any worthwhile, the people were paying the market.
No press release, no statement, no nothing for I think something like 2 weeks, until finally they had to announce that what they had was nothing, and the stock went.
The province set up a royal commission headed by Justice Arthur Kelly. Patrick Hart was his investigating counsel.
Well, I was in charge of this investigation, and I unfortunately concentrated on Windfall and didn't put it, I don't think, into a proper context at all. So that Viola was highlighted, and the full weight came down on Viola.
In autumn 1965, Viola and George were charged with 2 counts of fraud. Almost 4 years would pass before their trial was over. They would be found not guilty on both counts. In the meantime, a charge of wash trading was made against Viola in relation to another company she owned, Consolidated Golden Arrow.
Wash trading is effectively where you trade with yourself, where you are both the buyer and the seller of the shares. The theory is that by you doing your own buying and selling the same shares, you are creating a false impression of activity and supposedly manipulating the price.
I think the fact that she was such a visible figure didn't really have anything to do with her conviction, but it certainly may have had something to do with the vigor with which she was prosecuted. Maybe the authorities at the time wanted to make an example.
She wasn't a criminal. She was in the tenor of her times. Everybody was doing what she was doing. And you don't charge the head of the Securities Commission if you can charge some prospector. And the fact that the prospector was male, female, or hermaphrodite didn't matter.
I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't know why they were so upset about things, because I think some of the government officials were in on it too. But we didn't know that till after the trial was over with. But it's okay now. They were able to clean up a lot of things at the stock exchange. And it didn't put me in my grave.
And what it did basically was put in sensible regulations, forcing the Toronto Stock Exchange to police itself and beefing up the powers of the Ontario Securities Commission, and kicking some of the more egregious promoters out of town, where of course they went to Vancouver.
In March 1967, Viola was found guilty of wash trading and sentenced to a term of imprisonment not to exceed 9 months.
I think everybody should go to jail for 1 or 2 nights to realize what it's all about, because I was glad when it was time to go to bed.